For those of you who were fans of the show last year, you know that we do shows for every single press conference for E3. We do kind of a pre-show kind of thing, and we do a post-show wrap-up with all the news and events that come out right after E3. So we're calling this part 1, and it's just going to be our talkabouts for what's going on with E3. And we're also going to kind of have an open discussion on the differences between last gen, this gen, and how that may compare to the possible next gen. So I think we're going to go ahead and start off with that just right out the gate. Mike, your opinions on comparing this gen to last gen and what we may see for the possible next gen and how it'll stack up?
Well, I'm going to go with this. This gen, we've had a sort of a standard of 720p to 1080p being the normal for gaming definitions, for crying out loud. Hopefully in the next gen, we'll see a pure 1080p for all games. As for whether or not it's going to be a hands-free device, such as what we've seen from the Kinect and the Xbox 360, I'm still a little bit skeptical.
I just want to throw a random thing out there, only because you mentioned the hands-free device thing. What do you expect from the PlayStation DualShock 4?
Oh, man. I'm not entirely sure what to expect from it. Or what to even envision it as. The DualShock 4. I was going to say, I want to be able to throw it like a boomerang and then have it come back to me. But no.
Uh-huh. It's already kind of the right shape, so...
If you're actually going to be able to throw a knife in a game, I want to be able to throw my DualShock 4 in the direction of my opponent and have it come back to me before it hit my TV. So it needs to have sensors.
Real quick.
Okay.
Real quick, I actually don't know the difference between the DualShock 1 and the DualShock 2. I know that from the DualShock 2 to the DualShock 3, it was just a 6-axis support, but yeah, minor differences, really.
Yes.
Apart from that, I don't see a difference from the DualShock 2 to the DualShock 3. Because they got it pretty darn good with the DualShock 2. I didn't even think they were coming out with a DualShock 4, personally.
I think they'll have to. I think it's just a matter of... I think that Sony fanboys expect it.
Yeah, probably.
You know?
Have a built-in hand dryer for the epic boss battles. I don't know.
Yeah, just how about just a little dispensary that poofs out that powder that bowlers use when they bowl. You know?
Yeah.
that non-stick powder.
Yep.
You know, I actually want to try that. Just as a random off thought here, I would fucking love to get one of those little, baggies of the little powder that, bowlers fucking use and just, put that all over my hands and then game afterwards and see if I have better control.
Nice.
I'm going to do this and then report on that in a later episode. All right, Mike, any final thoughts on, kind of comparing the 3 gens here?
As far as from this generation to next generation, I'd like to see an advancement in the storage possibilities. Instead of having 40 gig or 80 gig like that, I'd like to have it be standard for like 90 gig and above.
On that note, I don't understand why computers have so much storage capacity compared to consoles. I mean, the Xbox 360 Elite, they put this big deal about it being 250 gigabytes. My desktop, which was a low-end pre-built, was 500 gigabytes starting. And I have a 3 terabyte external hard drive. If I formatted that to FAT32, which would be really bad, or exFAT, then the consoles can recognize it, and I could just use that for storage. I don't understand why they lowball it so much on their storage capacities.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of a matter of just cutting down production cost. I mean, if they put a 3 terabyte hard drive in there, imagine what that would do to the, consumer cost of the console.
I think they should at least offer the option, for the very high-end storage capacity. They should at least offer it. in my opinion.
Mm.
The option should be there regardless. There's going to be someone who wants to pay $800 for an Xbox 360 with 3 terabytes of storage.
I imagine there is that special consumer.
Yeah,
I definitely
exactly.
imagine there is. Will, any thoughts on the generation gaps?
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that the trend, for the most part, is that games are no longer being released for the Wii at all. Pretty much all the announcements that I was looking at, all the games were for the Wii-U. So that is announcements for the next gen. As far as last gen goes, we're mostly currently in this gen. There's literally nothing really coming out for the last gen anymore, except for, things pre-Wii Motion Plus, which there were a few of them announced at last E3, but for the most part, everything moved on from that. I think at this E3, there's going to be almost no last-gen stuff, except for, the last-gen games, like World of Warcraft, which still has a huge fan support. Of course, they're going to have Mists of Pandaria or whatever there. And so I guess that would be considered last-gen. But for the most part, this gen, they're going to be releasing a lot of Xbox 360 and PS3 games, hopefully more PC games, because those are by far becoming the most powerful machines in our households now, because they're the cheapest to do. I agree with Mike. Pretty much going to see a complete transition from 720/1080p all the way to just 1080p, because there's no real reason why we shouldn't. Everybody's got the best of high-def TV nowadays. Either choose your standard definition or your high definition. Why even go into the middle ground anymore?
All right, well, let's go ahead and change this topic a little and kind of put it into more of a focus here. Let's talk specifically about this gen and last gen, and we're just going to talk about two things here that are most important, which is which generation did you prefer the most? Did you like this gen more than last gen, or did you like last gen more than the current gen? And let's go ahead and discuss some of the pros and cons between what we've improved on and what has, kind of fallen by the wayside.
All right.
Okay. Give me something to swing at here, James. Come on.
So, we'll start just right off the bat. Which generation did you prefer, this generation or last generation, as a gamer? Just right off the bat, first question there.
Judging from my games library, I actually prefer the last gen over this gen. I've got, I think, 2 or 3 Xbox 360 games, and I've got, 3 times that amount of Xbox games. The games that came out for the Xbox were just higher quality to me than the Xbox 360 ones. For some reason, the Xbox games seem so much more creative and fun. And then Xbox 360, it's like every single one of them has to be a AAA title. It has to be perfect, amazing, wonderful. And it just feels so, I guess, it's not really what your average run-of-the-mill gamer who grew up on the N64 and the NES and the SNES, the Sega Genesis, even the Dreamcast, stuff like that. It just, Xbox 360 and everything else like that just seems too flashy, I guess. So the Xbox is like the last vestige of that old, quaint feel. Games like Conquer Live and Reloaded, Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, the original Fables, all of those came out for the Xbox, and they felt like what my childhood used to be. So, yeah, I'll admit that I like the last-gen Xbox games way more than Xbox 360s.
Well, I'd say you kind of answered both questions there. Mike, your thoughts now that you kind of have an idea of what I'm looking for here?
Yeah. I'll have to agree with him on that as far as gaming last gen goes. I mean, I have about, let's see, I'm looking at both of my collections from a PS3 and PS2 right now. And I'd have to say at least 35 to 40% more PS2 games than I do on my PS3. But as time goes on, I'm adding to my collection. But anyway, as he was saying, I get the feel for the old games used to have a lot more ingenuity than today's rinse, wash, and repeat formula for AAA games.
Yeah.
But if it's going from like what's available from PS2 to PS3, if you didn't have the PS2 Fat Boy pack with the internet availability, which was next to nothing whenever I got it, and never bothered to hook it up. But when you go to a PS3, you're able to play your Blu-rays, DVDs, etc., and shit like that. I mean, it's your device that does quote-unquote everything. But as far as games in general, I think they need to get back to their roots a little bit more and be a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for?
Inventive?
Inventive with their gaming titles and try and get a little bit more out of the box while still trying to stay to that AAA frame, if that makes any sense.
No, I get what you're saying. My thoughts on this, because me and our producer Justin have been discussing this for quite some time recently about, just how we really did love last gen a lot more than we've loved this gen. And I'm in the same group as both Mike and Will here, where my PS2 collection is about probably 30 to 40% bigger than my PS3 collection, and I have more disposable income now than ever. So it's definitely an interesting thing. There just isn't that much out there that I really want to buy. And today I picked up the Jack and Dexter HD collection, like I said at the top of the show, and watching Josh play it, I kind of came to the realization of why I don't enjoy this generation as much as last. And it really is kind of a simple answer, is that games like a Jack and Dexter just aren't really being made anymore. I mean, I think the industry in a whole right now just takes itself very seriously and is really, intent on either content has to be for adults and mature, or content has to be for the younger audiences. And when I say younger, I mean like 5 to 7 to 10. Whereas, games like Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, Sly Cooper, Jack and Dexter, these kind of things just aren't really being made anymore, where it's just, mildly challenging and sometimes, very challenging, just fun. It doesn't take itself seriously at all. It doesn't, try to be hand-holdy for, a younger audience, and it's just pure fun out of the box. And I don't think we really get that anymore, with very, very, very minor exceptions like Viva Pinata and Little Big Planet.
Mm-hmm. I'll agree with you.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
All right, well, let's go ahead and continue with some more E3 talk here on part one of our E3 extravaganza. And let's move on to predictions. Just anything that me or either of my fantastic co-hosts think that we may see or may happen during the E3 press conferences. Everything from logical predictions to bold, crazy, and impossible.
Okay, I'm going to go for bold, crazy, and impossible. The first ever holodeck will be presented.
Nice. Finally, I can actually get laid in Grand Theft Auto 5.
They came out with a getting laid thing back in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Yeah, true. But I mean, this time you'd actually be able to feel it,
Oh.
Maybe I wouldn't kill all the hookers if I could actually physically have sex with them all, huh? All right, Mike, any non-bold and crazy as hell predictions?
I predict in the year 2012 we will have more exclusive games for Sony
than every other company, because that's just the way it seems to go down every year.
It's not a bold prediction, but that's how I see it.
Yeah. No, my big prediction for this E3 is that And oddly enough, it's not a Sony prediction. I really have no Sony predictions this year at all. And because my big prediction that I actually think has to come true is that when Nintendo kind of does their re-revealing of the Wii U and goes to show that off again, hopefully in a much better light and in a much better way than they did last year, I'm thinking that we see a full HD Mario game for the first time.
HD or HD 3D?
HD 3D. Yeah, the fucking, just full, 1080p Mario.
Okay.
That actually sounds like a pretty good prediction. I think that they can definitely pull that off.
Yeah, I'm thinking that hopefully we'll be able to see, what does Mario look like in true HD? What will Zelda look like in true HD? What will Kirby and Donkey Kong look like in true HD? I think that's what they have to show us if they want to get everybody on the bandwagon for this Wii U.
Go buy an N64. That's HD enough for you.
One more prediction for me. I predict that Peter Molyneux opens up his own studio.
Nice.
All right. So I guess it's time for my prediction, huh?
Yep.
My prediction is that there will be a groundbreaking new idea that just completely blows everything else out of the water. Now, it's not going to be like Heavy Rain. This is going to be an MMO. And it's going to completely change the face of everything online that you've ever seen. And it's going to take your idea of what an MMO can be and then just be like, you know what? This is stupid. We're going to actually do something that's good and fun and high quality. And by this, of course, I'm talking about End of Nations.
Of course. We knew that's how you were going to roll that in.
I'm hoping that End of Nations is actually going to be a good game, because I love RTS, and I love MMO, and I hope that an MMO RTS will actually be good.
Nice.
I'm really looking forward to it. I'm all signed up for the beta. I'm ready to go. I want to play End of Nations.
Okay.
There's also someone standing here with a cake, and it looks very tasty.
All right. Just to wrap up our E3 discussion here, what is the one game that you were looking forward to the most seeing at E3?
I'll take this.
You already know mine.
Yeah, of course, Will's is End of Nations.
Of course. As I say, there's actually two for me, but if I had to honestly pick one that I'm going to, that's confirmed already, that's coming out, would have to be Assassin's Creed 3. Now, on the other hand, one that I'm keeping my fingers on the pulse of is a game called The Last of Us. So far, the two trailers that I've seen have blown me away. You know how back in the day a trailer used to draw you in and keep you enthralled throughout the whole entire thing, and then make you ask questions after it? I finally found one of those again.
And that was in The Last of Us, huh?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look up that trailer once I get internet back.
But make sure you look up the first one, not the second one. They're both pretty good, but you gotta see the first one first.
All right. I can do that.
All right. I'd have to say the game that I'm looking forward to the most is Sony's PlayStation All-Stars. The idea of basically a Sony version of, Super Smash Brothers to me just feels and sounds and seems and smells like pure crack cocaine.
Oh, but James, I thought you were looking forward to HD Final Fantasy X for the PS3.
I know they won't show that at E3. I'm starting to have doubts that's even coming out. Yes, I want to see Yuna in HD. Shut up. I have issues. So do we all.
I'm sorry. Salt in the wound.
With a little side of lemon juice.
How about my Zone of the Enders HD collection while we're at it?
Coming out this fall.
That's what people keep telling me. I still don't believe them.
I sure hope it does, because I'm buying that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell yes. 2 more games that I'll be able to platinum in like a day and a half.
Yeah.
I will be a happy, happy man.